Good morning, metalheads of the internet, and welcome to a brand new episode of I'd Much Rather Be Talking About Tomb Mold right now. Today, instead of Tomb Mold right now, we will be talking about a brand new solo album from the one and only Corey Taylor. But first, one quick and final reminder that the Metal Meltdown is streaming today, Friday, September 15th, at 12 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. It's our now annual, I guess, kind of, sort of, end of summer spooktacular! A magical event in which we play classic horror games and get really drunk. We're starting off specifically with a Dead Space 2 drinking game, and then honestly after that, who knows where the night will take us? I don't know. I put this thing together and I don't know. I hope you tune in, I hope you join the party, I hope you have fun, even if it literally is just only for a couple of minutes, because quite frankly, it's just not a party without you there, bud. End of Summer Spooktacular, today, Friday, September 15th, 12 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Hell yes, booyah, be there. Alright, what album were we talking about again? Why are we here? What's going on? We're not just doing the ad, are we? If I could get a reminder... Oh, hi, Chompy. How you doing, buddy? What is it? We're talking about CMF2 from Corey Taylor? Ugh. Alright. Thanks, I guess. Yeah, I know. I'd rather be talking about Tomb Mold 2. I think I already made that joke. That I do remember. Yeah. Okay, let's do this. That's right, guys, gals, and non-binary pals. New York Times best-selling author and multi-platinum Grammy Award-winning lead singer for both Slipknot and Stone Sour, Mr. Corey Taylor, has returned with his second solo album. His previous one, released in 2020, dubbed CMF2, or Corey Motherfucking Taylor, yikes, cringe, was met with mixed results, shall we say? Pretty well received by critics for the most part, like NME and Kerrang both gave it a 4 out of 5, Classic Rock Magazine gave it a 3.5 out of 5. I remember giving it like an enthusiastic 3 out of 5 myself, and I think I would honestly stand by that score. But the reaction here online, specifically within this corner of the YouTube metalverse, was a tad more hostile and even dismissive. A lot of people just simply didn't like it, or they thought it was just too cringe and too stupid to even spend an ounce of time with. And I can definitely understand why. That lead single, CMFT Must Be Stopped, was hella fucking dumb. It was hella fucking stupid. But I found it weirdly charming also, simultaneously. It almost felt like 2020's answer to like a big dumb white trash rap metal anthem like Ba Wit Da Ba from Kid Rock. And honestly, the rest of the album itself, I thought was solid. It was a good mix of like pop punk and crossover thrash and hard rock and alternative rock. Corey Taylor was dabbling with a bunch of different styles and kind of letting his freak flag fly just a little bit, doing things that Slipknot and Stone Sour maybe could not have done, could not do now still today. Was it a great album? No, but I'll still stand my ground and argue that it is a far more flexible and expressive record than most of y'all are willing to give it credit for. The same, however, cannot be said or done for CMF2. With this album, I see a huge step back in both the creativity and quality of the overall songwriting and songcraft. This is a more streamlined record and, in turn, a more predictable and generic record. While some funkier splashes and flavors do remain, and while overall this is a well-constructed and produced record, it ultimately just feels too safe. It feels like Corey Taylor is more comfortable to rest on his laurels rather than to expand and progress as an artist. Tracks like Beyond, Post-Traumatic Blues, and Toxic are all great examples of what I'm talking about. For the most part, a lot of very flat and forgettable riffage and vocal stuff here. Toxic does have some slightly sleazier guitar work all through, bringing to mind perhaps an alternate universe where Corey Taylor did actually for realsies join Velvet Revolver, not just a rumor. But overall, these tracks fall very much in line with what you expect from your very standard, basic American radio rock and hard rock. Beyond especially has to be one of the most boring rock songs I've heard all fucking year. If I were to cut just one song from this album right away, it would be this one. Then there's We Are the Rest, which is at best a goofy, cringy modern rock anthem, and at worst, a genuinely obnoxious and obvious attempt at creating something far more urgent and important. The combination of gang vocals and overusage of hand claps and unnecessarily over-the-top but still very generic guitar work would have probably made 12-year-old Robert cream his fucking pants and pretend that he was the biggest, coolest, baddest motherfucker in the world, but 28-year-old Robert just kind of looks at this and thinks about the worst aspects of, like, modern-day Green Day. One of the stranger moments on the record, and perhaps the only unpredictable moment whatsoever on CMF2, comes in the form of All You Need Is Hate, which is a very intentional subversion of All You Need Is Love from the Beatles, which Corey Taylor has talked about before as being one of his least favorite songs of all time. His goal basically was to create the dumb, edgy, bizarro version of that original song, and I guess to his credit, he has succeeded, because this feels like something that the aforementioned 12-year-old Robert would have written angrily in his journal after being told he needs to go to his room and do his homework and stop playing Xbox. Little side note, changing the title from All You Need Is Love to All I Want Is Hate, that's so lazy. It's giving Psycho Sinner, not a fan. And of course, there's no shortage of your standard by-the-books rock album balladry as well, with cuts like Sorry Me, Someday I'll Change My Mind, and Fresh Breath of Smoke. They're all weird and schmaltzy and out of place in their own ways. There's not really any reason for these albums to be here aside from the fact that the standard rock album format apparently demands that these types of ballads exist. With the previous album, there was this idea that Corey just didn't fucking give a shit and was just going to do whatever he wanted and just wasn't going to care about the consequences, whatever they may be, and that was cool and kind of badass in a way. This, by comparison, is, I don't know, this just plays things so much safer, it's so much more basic, it's so much more obvious, it's so much more gray and bland. I doubt it was crapped out in a weekend, but it feels like something that, like, a young rock band could have crapped out in a weekend. Like, if a record label came to a young rock band and just went, you've got a few days to give us a fucking record to sell, this is the kind of record I think they would make. I'm honestly feeling a 1.5 out of 5 on this bad boy. I thought it was pretty bad. I was pretty bored across this thing. I found myself genuinely hoping for something as cringeworthy and as gaudy as CMFT Must Be Stopped from the first album, because at least that would have given this some fucking life and color and identity. If I didn't know any better, I would honestly assume that Corey was just kind of phoning it in on this one, just kind of crapping out an album because he needed to, not because he wanted to. If you really loved that first album, there might be a few little bits and pieces for you to chew on and savor here, but I think for the most part, just based on how that first album was received, this is going to end up being a bit of a dud. At least amongst, like, this crowd. I do think, like, your average rock listener will enjoy this in bits and pieces, and based on the reviews I've seen so far from some bigger names and critics and such, I think this will still do okay. One thing is for certain, nobody is going to be talking about this album the way we were talking about that first Corey Taylor solo album, and that in and of itself is, not a good sign. 1.5 out of 5, yikes. I thought this thing was pretty fucking bad, honestly. And that is it for the Metal Meltdown. I'm not an expert, nor do I claim to be, so what do you think? Do you like this record? Do you not like this record? And what do you want to hear from me next? And thank you for watching. Make sure you press subscribe right here so you get updates on the Metal Meltdown immediately. Look, there's more videos here. Make sure you tune into our live stream, which is once again happening today in just a couple of hours from now. And as always, you have yourself a fantastic fucking day.